On your last Trials and Tribulations, Edgeworth here. In case you missed anything, let's fill you in on this case. After finally breaking Iris's psychologs, Iris revealed Heavenly Hall, an abandoned location at Eagle Mountain. Gumshoe and I continued our investigation there in hopes of discovering Iris's blackmailer, who turned out to be Larry Butts. We broke his psycholog, but even more took its place. Later, Franzi made her return, and she's back with a vengeance. How well will I hold up as a defense attorney? The big trial starts today on Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. Next!
Very well, Miss Von Karma, please give an outline of this case, with as little whipping as possible.
The murder victim is the famed picture book author Miss Elise Denim. Her body was found in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. She has been stabbed to the torso by a ceremonial sword from a golden statue.
The sword in this picture is the weapon in question, correct? Very well, the court accepts this photo of the crime scene.
There is no mistake, this was the doing of Sister Iris. After all, there was a witness to her crime.
Very well. Please bring this witness to the stand.
And so it begins. My first and my last trial as a defense attorney.
Witness, state your name and occupation, please.
Hold on there, I'm not sure about being not sure if I care for this at all. Did I mention I wasn't sure? Because I'm not sure. Witness, please stand up nice and straight.
If I recall correctly, there are a few milk crates in the defendant's lobby for witnesses with bad backs.
Bailiff, fetch a crate for this poor lady, please.
Once again, your name and occupation, please.
Little old me? Well, I'm the head nun of Hazakura Temple on Eagle Mountain. My name is Bikini. You got it? Bikini. Nice to meet everyone.
But you don't appear to be wearing a bikini right now.
Whoa! This courtroom is the garden of holy judgment. Those with lechery in their hearts should leave the sanctuary at once.
Do you want me to leave? No, you must be talking about Mr. Edgeworth.
Don't drag me into this.
No need to get your bikinis in a twist. Let me tell you, I'm a sight to behold in the summer.
In any case, witness, I hear that you saw the crime take place on the night in question.
That's right. I can still hardly believe it myself, to be honest. There's no way dear little Iris could do anything like that.
Let us hear what you have to say then. First, tell us about your own movements that night, eh?
That night, I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but... well, as you can see, my back likes to act up violently. So, I left Iris to help the acolyte and returned to Hazakura Temple. There's no bath at the inner temple, you see, and I needed a long hot soak. It was after I had finished, just as I was heading back. That's when I saw it.
So it was simply coincidence that you found yourself returning to Hazakura Temple.
Yes, you could say that. If my back hadn't been in so much pain, I would have stayed at the inner temple.
That sounds like a pretty important statement she just made.
There is only one problem with this testimony that I can see. And you're not about to fall at the first hurdle, now are you, Miles Edgeworth?
Mr. Edgeworth, please begin your cross-examination.
I will, thank you. Now, let's see. There's a contradiction in here somewhere, and I just have to find it. Hold it! So, you returned to the Hazakura Temple in order to take a bath?
My back is to blame for everything. It's a do or be done in kind of world, after all.
how long were you in the bath for, if you don't mind me asking?
My, what a filthy little rogue you are! I know what's on your mind. I bet your next question is going to be, where exactly did you wash? This is why you have to watch the young ones.
What are you going on about? I would... Ah!
Pathetic, Miles Edgeworth.
The lowest of the low.
Is there some sort of kick-me sign stuck to the defense's bench?
Anyway, I couldn't afford to be away from my post for too long, you understand, so...
Nothing particularly helpful there, but I wonder... Hold it! The crime took place in the courtyard, correct?
When you go from my room to the main hall, you have to take a winding hallway from which you can see the courtyard.
That's right. In other words, it was a pure coincidence that the witness saw the crime taking place before her eyes. There was no complicated setup in this case.
That certainly seems to be true.
There is indeed only one problem with this testimony. If I can clearly point out what it is, then I can begin to quantify just how good this witness's memory and observation skills are. Obviously, it's the fact that she claims to have seen Iris when Iris claims otherwise. Simply have to present her with that testimony. Objection! Witnesses have to undergo their own trials, I'm afraid. The defendant's fate rests on their powers of observation and memory, after all.
Well, don't worry, I am more than up to the task. I'm a woman of faith, after all, the head honcho of Hazakura Temple.
In that case, Miss Honcho, I'd like you to explain something for me. The discrepancy between your testimony and that of the defendant, Iris. She claims that after ringing the lights out bell, she went back and stayed in her room. Which means she did not go to the inner temple at all.
No, she said that?
Objection! A defendant or a witness? Who is more likely to lie, do you suppose? The defendant is simply lying to cover her own back.
Objection! But that is completely illogical. The murder was committed in the courtyard of Hazakura Temple. Claiming that she went to the inner temple would make for a much better alibi.
But that is odd. Whatever the reason, I can't believe that she would lie.
She does indeed have honest eyes.
All people lie. That is my belief.
Why am I the only one being whipped in here? But anyway, neither the witness nor the defendant have any reason to lie. Which means, we must call your memory into question.
Dear. You're older than me, and yet you want to play that game, do you?
Oh, well, that isn't exactly what what do I look like, my brother?
My memory is perfect, crystal clear, especially in winter.
Then, I suppose it's too early to end this cross-examination, eh? Mr. Edgeworth, if you are going to question the memory of this witness, you will need to show me a more decisive piece of evidence.
Understood, Your Honor. I was naive to think that alone would do the trick.
Then please add your comments about Iris to the testimony, and let us return to the cross-examination.
Objection! Witness, let's get one thing straight. The defendant whom you claim to have met, she was wearing this demon-warding hood, correct?
Of course. That is a very important piece of clothing, I'll have you know. Wait a minute.
Objection! Hold it right there. Why do you have that?
That's the question of the day, now isn't it, Miss Von Karma? I'll have you know that this hood was given to someone as a gift that night. Before the lights out bell was rung.
Was?
You know where I'm going with this, don't you? If the witness had seen the defendant as she claims, the defendant couldn't have been wearing this very hood!
Well.
It's not a bad feeling at all, exposing contradictions like this. Now I understand that happy look on Wright's face every time he does it.
Order in the court! Witness, you'll go!
Sister? This hood. You have spare ones around the temple, don't you?
Spares? Well, I do tend to make too many of them.
I see. A stockpile. A surplus of hoods, eh?
Each nun is only given one hood. This should be the only hood that Iris owned.
Then this is quite strange.
If there was a surplus of hoods, then she could have worn one of those. There is no contradiction here.
I'm sorry to break this to you, Miss Von Karma, but you won't get away that easily. Discrepancies such as this will sow seeds in any human heart. The seeds of doubt.
Witness, while I don't wish to call your testimony into doubt, you must give every detail with precision.
I am not sure I'm comfortable going along with this.
Sister, you shall continue with your testimony. Tell us what you saw after finishing your bath on your way back to the inner temple.
Those seeds of doubt are sprouting in the judge's heart. They just need a little more stimulation to bear fruit. Contradictory stimulation.
Contradictory.
I finished my bath at around 11, and I thought I should return to the inner temple. And as I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look, and Iris was... Mystic Elise! And with that sword of all things! Mystic Elise was staying in the corner room, which faces out onto the courtyard. The stabbing I saw must have occurred after she was pushed out her window.
You saw a truly terrible sight, didn't you? If I was in your place, then it would be much like Miss Von Karma whipping Mr. Edgeworth in two in court. And me seeing it all from this very chair. Well, something like that.
This judge... His imagination is about as vivid and creative as Detective Gumshoe.
I would look the fool if I commented on such foolishness. Anyway, this case is mine, Miles Edgeworth.
Calling everyone by their full name, can't you do something about that habit of yours? Now, let's see. I'm fairly certain I know where this contradiction is. Not there. Definitely not there either. No. Here. Hold it! What makes you so sure of all this?
It's just like I told you earlier. I heard a noise from the courtyard, okay? Thump. Just like that.
You're one smart sister, I'll give you that. The autopsy report states that the victim's body was covered in bruises, indicating a fall from around 10 feet in height.
It appears that the witness was not mistaken then.
Yep. I'm more than just a pretty face, especially in winter. I'm a woman of faith, after all. The head honcho of Hazakura Temple.
There's only 2 of them working there.
What's wrong, Miles Edgeworth? No snappy comeback remark?
It doesn't feel like she's lying. This is very powerful testimony, too. She claims to have seen the instant in which the defendant stabbed the victim. There are only 2 things I can believe in right now. My client, Iris, and my own abilities as a defense attorney. A little more information from the witness would certainly not go astray. Hold it! You say you heard a noise.
Thump. Just like that.
That could only be the sound of the victim falling.
It's very quiet in the temple, you know. You can even hear the snow falling from the branches. Thump. Just like that.
But then couldn't this noise you heard have been snow falling to the ground?
Well, I never thought of that.
Go!
The next one to laugh gets a whipping.
Well, whatever the source of the sound, I looked over at the courtyard and...
I'm pretty sure I know exactly where the contradiction is. Hold it! This is the second time that the witness has testified to seeing the defendant. But some doubt remains in these claims.
Hey, just what does that mean? Just because you're a good-looking young man doesn't give you the right to...
The murderer who stabbed the victim with the sword. Sister Bikini, try to recall exactly who it was you saw, as clearly as you can.
Well, you're a sexy beast, so I'll forgive you. Oh! Now that you mention it, there was something awfully strange about her. Something that has been bugging me all this time.
Please, don't keep us in suspense.
Her hood!
Her hood?
That's right. It's coming back to me. Iris. She wasn't wearing her hood. I thought something was out of place, but... it all makes sense now, doesn't it? After all, she'd given her hood away to someone, right?
You've dug your own grave, Miles Edgeworth.
What do you say, Mr. Edgeworth? Is this testimony important?
I have no choice but to say it is. This may initially appear to put me at a disadvantage, but I can't see any other leads at the moment. Your Honor, I would like these new statements to be added to the testimony.
Miles Edgeworth, if you want to hang yourself, you need only ask. I'll gladly lend you my veep.
Witness, add that statement to your testimony.
No problem.
The piece of evidence proving this contradiction is almost certainly the autopsy report. Now to present that to her and... Objection! That wasn't the autopsy report. Neither was that. That was her hood. No. Objection! The autopsy report. No, not that. Not... Objection! I said the autopsy report. Present... Objection! The autopsy report. Objection! That didn't look like the autopsy report. That looked like a staff. Objection! That was a sword! Just present... No, not a picture of Iris. Objection! She knows what she looks like. She's been telling us. Present the autopsy report. Objection! That was the weather report. That was so very close, but still wrong. The autopsy report. That's all you have to do is just present that. Objection! Are you a complete moron? Objection! Please. Objection! I am begging you. Just present the autopsy report. I will do anything at this point. I'll kiss right on the mouth if that would get you to present the blasted autopsy report. Yes! Objection! Impressive logic, That's what I'd like to say anyway.
Oh, please do. My brain is something else, especially in winter.
However, I think you are overlooking one thing. Miss Von Karma, would you be so kind as to take another look at the autopsy report?
The autopsy report.
The victim did fall from a height of 10 feet. However, this fall was after she was killed.
Ah!
That's right! It says after death right here!
The scene the witness claims to have seen is contradictory. If the defendant stabbed and killed the victim there in the courtyard, how did the victim then go on to take a 10-foot fall?
Ah!
Water! If the victim was killed and then fell! If that is the case, then the victim must have been killed in her room. Don't you agree?
That is a logical conclusion. Yes, that's right. The victim must have been stabbed by the defendant in her own room. And she was then thrown out of her window into the courtyard below.
Objection! Were there any signs of a struggle in Mr. Nim's room? She was stabbed with a sword. That would leave a bloodstain, wouldn't you agree?
Well, Miss Von Karma, was there any blood?
No traces of blood were found in the victim's room.
Your whip has just caused traces of blood to be found on my glorious playoff beer. You will pay for this later. However, if there was no blood in the room, then your claim to
I'm sure there's no need for me to go over this, as I'm sure Your Honor is well aware of when a stab wound produces the most blood.
When it produces the most blood?
Very little blood is actually lost at the moment of blade's insertion. If you want to talk about when the most blood would be lost from the body, that would be when the blade is removed.
Indeed. With the weapon still in place, it acts like a lid on the wound.
That's true. With the weapon still in the body, there wouldn't be much bleeding. A perfectly reasonable line of thinking.
We have come to the conclusion then. The victim was thrown out of the window with the sword still in place. This removes all the contradictions.
Order! I must admit that this is a probable version of events.
I'd expect no less from Franziska von Karma. She locates and takes control of every vital point.
It seems that we need a clearer testimony from the witness. Remove all supposition on your part and tell us only the truth, please. Witness, please! Remain standing on the crate!
Don't go selling me short now. The weight of winter snow has bent me out of shape, especially my back and my mood.
Sister, please give us your testimony. I will give you a vigorous massage once we are finished here.
With the whip?
Oh boy. All right. When I looked across at the scene, the sword was already in place. Thinking about it now, I didn't actually see her stab Mystic Elise. I've never seen so much blood before. That's when I fainted. You can't blame me, can you? And when I awoke, Mystic Ami was stabbing Mystic Elise through the back!
This all confirms Miss Von Karma's theory.
Von Karma strive for nothing but perfection. Putting together such facts is nothing for me. You should know that, Miles Edgeworth.
Perfection is an impossibility, Franziska von Karma, you Teutonic twat, and I'm here to teach you just that. I'll need a little bit more information before I can pin down a contradiction. Hold it! Think carefully. This is very important.
It's Iris we're talking about here. I'm thinking for all I'm worth. No, when I looked over, the sword was already in Mystic Elise's body.
It might not be conclusive, but this testimony supports her theory.
The victim was stabbed in her room, then dropped into the courtyard. I think this proves it rather well, Miles Edgeworth.
Where else can I get more information before I can make my move? A sword? Objection! No, not quite yet, I don't think. Hold it! So you're saying that you saw the victim's blood?
That's right. Some of it had splattered onto Iris, too.
When the defendant was arrested, she was meditating in her room, and her blood-flecked clothing was neatly folded in the corner.
What? Her clothes were blood-flecked as well?
That seems quite conclusive to me.
What should I do? Press this point further? Not much of a choice. Going back to your previous statement, you said that you saw little bleeding when the victim was stabbed. But now, you say you saw the victim bleeding?
Well. I say that what I saw is what I saw.
What did you see?
Maybe I didn't see the poor woman get stabbed. But I saw the girl pull the sword out of her, plain as day.
Pulling the sword out?
Well, it wasn't really pulling. More like it came out.
Witness, you will add this statement to your testimony.
Oh, was that important?
More important than you can imagine. Eureka, I found my point of contradiction. Now to present the sword. Objection! Sister Bikini, you are a reliable witness. At least, I'd like to think so, but there are too many contradictions here.
What do you mean? You make it sound as though I'm a liar, but you're the best-looking thing I've seen all day, so I'll forgive you.
What contradictions are you talking about?
In the scene that the witness claims to have seen, the weapon was thrust up to its hilt into the victim. Furthermore, the killer withdrew the weapon smoothly from the body. However, both of these are complete impossibilities.
What do you mean? Please, explain your— Go, Canada!
Explain yourself!
To start with, do you think it would be possible to stab someone to the hilt with this? No matter how I look at the defendant, she doesn't appear to be strong enough for that.
Objection! Doesn't appear. What meaningless dribble. I, too, may appear to be weak and frail, but I can crush men under my heel and make them weep, should I so choose.
The objection stands. I wept a little back there, I must admit.
Objection! That isn't the only issue here. If this sword was truly stabbed into the body up to the hilt, well, just look at all the branches on it. It certainly wouldn't come out smoothly.
That's...
We also have the problem of the amount of bleeding. It's true that when a blade is left in a body, it acts as a plug of sorts. However, when the weapon is shaped like this, it's an entirely different story. The wound would be too large for the blade to completely stop the bleeding.
Objection! That's nothing more than conjecture. In reality, the victim was stabbed with a shichishito. even a weapon of this nature, may still sometimes slide out smoothly and may still sometimes stop the blood loss.
Objection! I'm not finished, Fraulein. There is still one more conclusive contradiction.
You've still got more?
This one is simple. If this sword really was thrust in all the way to the hilt, why is there only blood on the tip of it?
Let's start project.